we have discussed already the previously asked questions in board examination from the chapter dual nature of radiation and matter. So today let's discuss the new RT syllabus, that means the RT9 syllabus, that is atoms and nuclei. So here in this chapter, first of all, again we will do the same procedure, like we will take the question that is asked from the theoretical basis. After that we will take the numerical and conceptual problem. So one by one let's discuss it. We have at least in every day we have 3 to 4 days, so we can discuss all the things. One day I just want to discuss first theoretical question approach that is asked. Reason is that this is just like the revisions, so let's do it for the chapter atoms and nuclei. So as in this chapter, the first important question that is from the models. So you know that about the atomic model, but still here Thomson model is not that important, but 1 mark question can be asked from this, in case of Thomson model, what was the basic assumption about the atomic model. So simple, in case of Thomson model, the basic assumption was that he just assumed atom as the spherical body and as a sphere, and also the charges are uniformly distributed on it, means positive negative charges are symmetrically distributed over all the space. So that was means in that way he just tried to say that atom is just neutral, as equal number of positive equal number of negative charges are symmetrically distributed, and definitely they can cancel out their own effects. So overall if we will see the atom, then that will be electrically neutral. So the question here that is asked, that is assumptions of Rutherford model and reason why we need Bohr model, means what was the reason to of the failure of Rutherford model. So this question is important here. So as Rutherford did the one experiment, that is alpha scattering experiment. In that he just took a gold foil and bombarded alpha particles on that, and record the result of that experiment. So when he just saw the result of that experiment, means with that result only few alpha particles were reflected back to their own path. It means that the most in very small region there are positive charges are concentrated, and also according to that he just gave the concept of nucleus, means most of the mass of the atom that is concentrated at that tiny space, that is called nucleus, and positive charges contained in that. Later the discovery of neutron was made by Chadwick, and after that even it was found that neutron is also the basic component of nucleus, but still when Rutherford gave his model, that time only electron and proton was discovered. So he just take the assumption that proton is situated in nucleus, and also most of the mass of the atom is concentrated at that tiny space at in that nucleus portion. Next concept is that here electrons that are outside the nucleus, means experimental result was that most of the atoms are free to pass from the atom. It means that most of the space in atom that is vacant. Only few alpha particles were absorbed by the or deflected by their path. It means that in overall in atom electrons are just distributed randomly, and also due to that only few alpha particles get reflected or absorbed there. So according to that he just suggested a model, and his model was that in every atom there is a central tiny space that is called nucleus, and also in outside the nucleus there are certain circular orbits, there are circular orbits in which electrons are revolving, and whenever any electron makes transition from higher state to lower state, then that time the energy radiated from that in that transition. So this was the basic assumption of Rutherford model. Now let's see why this theory or this model was failed. So the reason of the failure of Rutherford model was that first he assumed that electron can revolve in any circular orbit. Then it means that whenever any electron that is making transition from higher to lower state, then continuously if it will make transition to lower state, then that if it will reach to that state where that is very near to the nucleus, then you know that nucleus has greater positive charge, then it will attract that electron and electron will ultimately fall in the nucleus. So in this way the existence of atom that will be destroyed. Second thing here, he assumed that the atom can radiate energy continuously, but it is observed that atom is radiating energy discretely, not continuously. So these were the basically these was the reason. These were the reason, that's why Rutherford model has been failed. Next question here, that is very important question. Write down Bohr's postulate about the atomic model and how can he correct the discrepancies of Rutherford model. So as in you know that what are the discrepancies in the case of Rutherford model, then Bohr just tried to correct it by with the help of quantum or concept, means by using the Planck's law there. So according to Bohr, the first postulate is that electron cannot revolve in every possible circular orbits. Electron can revolve only in certain circular orbits, and that certain circular orbit is called stationary orbit. So he just put the limitation on the revolution of electron around the nucleus, first condition. Second postulate is that electron can revolve only in those circular orbits for which the angular momentum of electron is integral multiple of h upon 2 pi. So if we will write it in mathematical form, then this is mvr, this is equal to nh upon 2 pi we have. So whenever this condition is fulfilled, then in that stationary orbit electron will revolve there, and here the value of n we can take it 1, 2, 3 and so on. So this value of n represent the number of circular orbits, means if an electron has to revolve in first circular orbit around the nucleus, then that first circular orbit will be equal to h upon 2 pi, means only in that circular orbit electron will revolve, for which its angular momentum will be equal to this h upon 2 pi. So it means that now a spacing is created between nucleus and that circular orbit, and in the another way, if you will see here 2, 3, 4 so on, then it means that spacing is created here. So the experimental result of alpha scattering experiment, that is also clear from here, and also first discrepancies of Rutherford model was that here the existence of atom, that is also solved from here. Whenever electron will make transition from higher to lower state, but that time it will reach to this state ultimately, and there is spacing between these two states, means electron will not fall in the nucleus as it is not very near to the nucleus. Clear? Third postulate of Bohr is that whenever electron will make transition from higher to lower energy state, then that time the energy radiated here, that is equal to difference of energies of these two circular orbits. Means suppose in here the energy of this circular orbit is E2, energy of this circular orbit is E1. Whenever electron will make transition from E2 to E1, the energy that is radiated according to quantum mechanics, here quantum radiation or electromagnetic radiation we are getting, means whenever electron will make transition, a wave will generate or radiation will generate, and that radiation you know that has energy h nu, this is the Planck's law, and this energy h nu is equal to E2 minus E1 we have. So this is the Bohr's third postulate. According to that, you can see that here if you will see in terms of lambda or in terms of nu, here certain wavelength we are getting, means whenever electron will make transition from n to n equal to 2 through 1, then that time we will get different wavelength, and again means we are getting only single wavelength, not the continuous wavelength. So if we will arrange that wavelength, then we will get some discrete spectrum of the atom. So basically with the help of Bohr model, the spectroscopic problems of atom was solved also, but still Bohr model is applied only to solve the spectrum of hydrogen, alkali metals, alkaline earth metal, and also X-ray spectra. So we are using in that conditions, but still the first atom hydrogen was successfully explained with the help of Bohr model. So I think the postulates of Bohr model and how he just reduced the discrepancies of Rutherford model, that is not clear. Second condition here, question is here we have a number of numerical problem is asked on radius of circular. So if there are number of circular orbits or stationary orbits we have, then obviously if they are circular, then definitely they will have some of the radius from this point or center nucleus. Also electron is moving in this circular orbit, then we can calculate its velocity, we can calculate its momentum, we can calculate its kinetic energy, potential energy, total energy. So number of calculations we have, we can calculate its frequency, time period. So all these calculations we can do, and here basically the numerical problem is asked on that. So later we will discuss all the numerical problems that is asked on the these particular topics. So certainly numericals are very important here. Next question here, first of all we will discuss only theoretical questions. After that the numerical question we will discuss. So next important factor, the hydrogen spectrum. So here we are just starting to enter in spectroscopy now. I think the atomic model that is now clear, and with the help of Rutherford model we can explain the spectroscopic things. And here I am not going to again discuss how many types of spectrums we have. We have already discussed it number of times: absorption, emission spectrum, line spectrum, band spectrum. So that's why here again I am not going to say that, but still here directly the question is asked from the hydrogen spectrum. So let's discuss that spectrum here. So as we know that whenever we will use Rutherford model, then that time we can calculate whenever electron is making transition from higher to lower orbit, then what will be the wavelength of the radiation that is emitted here, and that wavelength is given by 1 upon 1 minus 1 upon n2 square. Here r is the Rydberg constant and lambda is the wavelength of the radiation emitted. N1 is initial state, N2 is final state. So, in another way you can say that this is initial state, this is final state. Whatever, if you are taking the case of emission absorption, according to that we can take it. So now we have number of values for N1 and N2 here. Suppose first of all we are taking this initial state N1 as the fixed. So if we will fix this N1, suppose we are just trying to see from the n is equal to 1. So if this state is fixed, then this wavelength lambda is given by 1 upon r, 1 minus 1 by n2 square. And here obviously if n1 is fixed, then electron has to make transition, then it will make transition from higher state to this lower state. Here only I am talking about the emission spectra. Absorption spectra is also possible, means electron can go from n is equal to 1 state to n is equal to 2, n is equal to 3, 4 stage, and also electron can make transition from n is equal to 4, 3, 4, means a higher state to n is equal to 1 state. So if electron is making transition from higher to this n is equal to 1 state, means if it is this state is fixed, final state is fixed, then in that case it is known as this series of wavelength that we will get from here. This is known as Lyman series. So here value of n2 that we can take 2, 3, 4 and so on. So whenever we will put here 2, then that time we can get different wavelength. We will put 3 here, means electron will make transition from 3 to 1. That time different wavelength we are getting, means number of wavelengths we will get And if we will arrange that wavelengths in order of increasing or decreasing order of wavelength or frequency, we are getting some spectrum, and that spectrum or series is known as Lyman series for the hydrogen spectrum. That was detected by the Lyman, and also this series lies in the range of ultraviolet region. So here how can we find that this series is lying in the ultraviolet region? That is not very important, but still here the important factor is that what will be the minimum wavelength and maximum wavelength in this case. And with the help of that we can easily understand, if you don't remind that in which range it is lying, then with the help of that calculation you can understand in which range we are getting that particular series. So for that case, if we will put here the value of n2 infinite, then that time it will provide us the value, obviously the maximum wavelength. And if we will put here n2 is equal to 2, that time it will provide us minimum wavelength. So in this way we can just see when we will get maximum wavelength and when we will get just minimum wavelength from here. So you can calculate it by putting that value, and we will get certain discrete or values of wavelength. Second case is Balmer series. So in the case of Balmer series, we just put this n1 as equal to 2. Means whenever electrons are making transition, electrons are free to make transition, and sometimes they don't like to make transition directly from the higher state to n is equal to 1 state. Like if electron has to make transition from n is equal to 5 to n is equal to 1 state, then that time it can prefer the path n is equal to 4 state, after that 4 to 3, 3 to 2, 2 to 1, or it can make transition from 5 to 3, 3 to 2. In that way, number of ways are here for making transitions for the electrons. So if electron is making transition from higher to this n is equal to 2 state, then that time the wavelength we can calculate it, that is 1 by lambda b r 1 upon 2 square, means that here 4 will be here, and n2 square, where value of n2 that we can take 3, 4, 5 and so on. So if we will put the value of n2 is equal to 3, that time we will get according to that wavelength, and if we will put infinite, then we will get, actually I think we will put n is equal to 3, we will get maximum wavelength, and if we will put infinite, then that time we will get minimum wavelength. In this case also that's it. Reason is that if electron is making transition from infinite to n is equal to 1 state, then maximum energy will be emitted from there, means frequency that will be maximum, and if frequency is maximum, then wavelength will be minimum. And also for n is equal to 2 to 1 state, frequency is minimum, so it means that wavelength will be maximum. So we can just calculate maximum frequency or minimum frequency, or maximum wavelength, minimum wavelength. Again for this, if it is making transition from infinite to this state 2, then that time we will get minimum wavelength, and if it is making transition from this 3 to 2, then that time we will get maximum wavelength for this series. And if we will see that, you can calculate it, this is numerical question, it is asked, calculate the minimum and maximum wavelength in the case of Balmer series and Lyman series and other series that we are getting for the hydrogen spectrum. So if we will see the minimum wavelength and maximum wavelength, and if we will match that with the electromagnetic wavelength or electromagnetic waves wavelength, and that time we will find that this Balmer series is lying in the range of visible region of radiation. So simple, this if we have to see the hydrogen spectrum, then we are getting the we are able to see only Balmer series as it is lying in the range of visible spectrum. Other all series are lying beyond the visible spectrum, means first series as we have seen that is lying in the range of ultraviolet spectrum, and later all three series that we will discuss that will lie in the infrared region. So two spectrum, I think that is now clear. Third case, if we will put this state n1 is equal to 3, means we have just applied a condition that electron has to make transition from higher to n is equal to 3 state. Then in that case the wavelength here given by 1 upon 9 minus 1 by n2 square, and here value of n2 that we can take 4, 5 and so on. Here emission spectra only I am just taking, I just told you. So in this case if electron is making transition from n is equal to 4 to 3 state, then we will get again maximum wavelength, and if electron is making transition from infinite to this n is equal to 3 state, then that time we will get minimum wavelength. So we can calculate again the range of, in the case of next series, that is called Paschen series. So it is all the series, its name is after its discovery by the scientists. So simple, if we will see that range, then that is lying in the range of near infrared region. If you don't remind we have to write near or far, then that time if you will write only infrared region, then that is also correct. So we can just write here this series is lying in infrared region. Next series that we have if n is equal to this, we have fixed as 4. So if electron is making transition from higher to n is equal to 4 state, then that time this wavelength is given for this series, that is equal to this value. And also we can calculate again minimum and maximum wavelength here. Minimum wavelength we will get whenever electron will make transition from n is equal to 2 to infinite to this n1 is equal to 4 state. And maximum wavelength we will get when it will make transition from n2 is equal to 5 to n1 is equal to 4. So we can calculate that value by putting the value of Rydberg constant easily. And if you will see in which range it is lying, then it is also lying in the infrared region, and this is called bracket series. Next case that we have Coulomb series. So in the case of Coulomb series, we just put here limitation that n1 is equal to 5. So if n1 is equal to 5, we are just putting here, then this will be 25. This is we can write it by here, and this is 6, 7 and so on. Hence if electron is free to make transition from 6, 7 and so on state, means higher state to n is equal to 5 state, then that time we are getting the series of wavelength that is lying in the range of infrared region, and also it is called Coulomb series. So in the case of Coulomb series, if we have to calculate minimum wavelength again, the minimum wavelength we will get for n2 is equal to infinite to n1 is equal to 5, and maximum wavelength we will get for n2 is equal to 6 to n1 is equal to 5. So simple, this was the important question regarding to that. And next question is here important, the energy level diagram for the. So how to make the energy level diagram of the hydrogen spectrum, that we have discussed. So in this case, if we will just put here n is equal to 1 state, that is also called ground state, normal state. And again, if we will see actually energy of hydrogen atom, then that time energy of the atom, it is or for hydrogen we will see this is equal to minus 13.6 by n square, where n value of n we can put 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. So if we will see that energy, then the spacing between them, that is decreasing whenever we are just going in a higher orbit. So it means that the spacing between n is equal to 1 and 2, that will be greater in comparison to spacing between n is equal to 2 and 3. Again, in comparison to n is equal to 4 and 3, again it will, means it is starting to just so this is 5, this is 6 and so on infinitely. Clear? Now how to make an energy level? Actually energy level diagram are the transitions that shows the certain wavelength that we are getting and how we are getting, and what are the transition that is made by the electron from higher to lower energy state. So first series that we have Lyman series. For that, and if electron will make transition, here again I am going to use emission spectra. You can also make it by using absorption spectra. Means whenever electron will go from n is equal to 1 state to any of the higher state, that time again we will get the same series, Lyman series, but here we will get absorption spectra. But whenever it will make transition from higher to this state, then obviously energy will radiate there. If we have to send it from lower to higher state, then we have to provide it energy. So it absorbs energy, that's why we call it absorption spectra. And in another case, if it is radiating energy, then that's why we can call it emission spectra. So when it means that electron can make transition from n is equal to 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 5 to 1, 6 to 1 and so on. So this series of wavelength that we are getting, that is we can calculate by using or calculating the difference in the energy easily, as we have formula that is hc by lambda. This is equal to E2 minus E1, and E we can calculate easily by this formula, and H and C values are you know already. So we can calculate lambda easily here, that is, and also we can calculate lambda that by the formula of Rydberg constant that I have just told you. So here finally this series that we got here, that is called Lyman series. Next, if we will see the transition made by the electron from higher to this n is equal to 2 state, then that time we are getting the series of wavelength that is called Balmer series. Third, if it is making transition from higher to this n is equal to 3 state, that time we are getting Paschen series. Again, if it is making transition from higher to n is equal to 4 state, we are getting Brackett series. And if it is making transition from higher to this n is equal to 5, then we are getting Pundt series. So this is the energy level diagram of hydrogen atom spectrum. In the same way, we are getting the spectrum of alkali metals also, as there is also one electron in the outermost orbit, but still their energies are somewhat, or the pattern that there we are getting for the energy level, that is also somewhat different from the hydrogen. So, here the next case that is important, that is X-ray spectra. So first you know already how we can produce the X-rays. So X-rays, simply they are producing by here with the help of their characteristics I will do. Basically if we have to categorize for the production of X-rays, or we have to categorize the spectrum of X-ray, then there are two ways to understand the spectrum of X-rays, or we are getting a spectrum in two ways also. Means in the case of X-rays we can get discrete spectrum as well as we can get continuous spectrum. Means if we have to use X-rays continuously, that time we can use continuous spectrum, and if we have to use X-rays in discrete way, means we need only certain wavelength of X-ray, then that time we can use characteristics spectrum. So that how can we obtain continuous or characteristics spectrum, that is depending on the process in which we are producing X-rays. So basically X-rays are producing by the secondary emission. Means if we will accelerate any electron by applying a high amount of electric field, then that time that accelerating electrons target any electron in the atom, and if it makes the or it just knocked out any electron from the atom. So vacancy is created in the inner core, and obviously according to Hund's law, according to Pauli exclusion principle, you know that there cannot be any vacancy in inner core. So to maintain the stability of the atom, so electrons are trying to make transition from higher to that state where the vacancy is created in the inner core. So this is the process of the characteristics spectrum. Means if this is nucleus we have, and electrons are revolving here in these circular orbits. Then in that case, if electrons any higher or any accelerating electrons that is colliding with it and it makes knockout from it here. So obviously here a vacancy is created inside the you can say that in the core atom orbits. So this electron will have tendency to fill up this vacancy so that its atoms can be in stable state. So if it will make transition from here to here, then obviously the difference of energy will be radiated, and that difference of energy is lying in the range of X-ray. So in this way we are getting X-rays whenever any vacancy is created in the inner cells here. So such that in this case, as we can see that the wavelength that is depending on the difference of energy means fixed wavelength we are getting. So it means that we are getting some characteristic wavelength here. So that's why it is known as characteristic X spectrum. Next case here, if electron is accelerating and that is colliding with this these electrons of atom, but that has means if collision is not normal collision, it is oblique collision. So there are two types of collision, you know that whenever electron will make normal collision, that time, or perfectly elastic collision, that time it will transfer whole of its energy and it can knock out electron from the atom. But whenever it will collide obliquely, then that time obviously some of the energy it can transfer, but no not all the energy it can transfer, means it will lose some of its kinetic energy, and that kinetic energy appears in form of electromagnetic radiation. Obviously if there is loss of energy, then somewhere we should get that energy according to conservation of energy. So that energy, if we will see, that is lost by the electron during the process of collision or during the process of oblique collision, then that time if we will arrange that energy in terms of wavelength or frequency, then we can see that a continuous range of energy or wavelength we are seeing, means every possible wavelength we are getting there, and that in that way, and that wavelength lie in the range of X-rays, means continuous wavelength we are getting in this way. So there are two types of collision that is possible, and according to that we are getting two types of spectrum in X-rays. So here today we have discussed all the topics of X-ray. Later we will discuss its spectrum and how we'll draw the energy level diagram for this. So for today let's end the class here.